Dento karate practitioners, karatecas tradicionales. This time in Perspectives, we have the extreme pleasure of having this interview with Sensei Scot Langley. He's a seventh Dan from the HDKI, and we are very, very grateful to have you. Hello, Sensei.
Oh, thanks for the invite. It's a pleasure to be here.
It's a pleasure for us. We have been looking forward to have you for a very long time in our minds. We have seen you for very, very long time. I mean, the first time that I saw you was a very long time ago with Shotokan Karate magazine. You were
Yeah.
you were doing a article on a side snap kick.
Oh, okay. Yeah, that was a long time ago.
Yes, yes.
Yeah. Yeah.
So since that moment, I said, I like that. Nice, you know.
Yeah.
So say, please, if you can tell us how you begin your journey in karate, and you can share some insight, but also some memories, and please have fun, enjoy the moment.
Okay. Okay. So I started martial arts when I was 5 years old. So I'm now 50. So I've been training for 45 years mostly. And I was 5 years old in Liverpool, and my friend from school wanted to start martial arts. And in the area, there was a very large jiu-jitsu uh, kind of organization. And this was before Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, of course. It was called the World Jiu-Jitsu Federation. They were a good class, a good group, and so we went along because he was 5, we were 5. He didn't want to go alone, so my mum said, "Okay, Scott's going to go with you." So I went along, and I don't, maybe he did 2, 3 classes, and I stayed. And I remember even to this day walking into that dojo for the first time, and the smell, the feel. I was like, okay, yeah, I'm at home. This is where I'm supposed to be. And so I did jujitsu for a number of years, but then my family left Liverpool in the early 80s, 1980s, and I moved to Yorkshire in the northeast of England. And in York, the only dojo that they had was a karate dojo. And so at the time, I thought, jujitsu, karate, it's all the same. And actually, there was similarities. The old jujitsu, there was kicks and there was punching and there was standing up stuff. So it was a little bit similar. So I just started karate, and I was really lucky. I walked into a really good dojo, and it was connected to an instructor called Kato Satishike, who was a Japanese instructor who was originally Kanazawa Sensei student, and then was in England from the late 1960s or mid 1960s. And his top student was the guy who was teaching in York. So I started training with a guy called Howard Milson, and I trained with him, and Kato Sensei would come and do seminars every 3 months, and then I got through to Shodan level, and then I went to university, and I went to university that was like 15 kilometers from Kato Sensei's house and the Hombu dojo there. And so from university, I trained every day almost. And I traveled most weekends. Kato Sensei at the time was really busy. He'd go traveling every weekend to different dojos, and I'd mostly go with him. So I was traveling every weekend with him. And then in the week, training at the university dojo and his dojo. And then I graduated, and in '97, I graduated in '96, and then my plan was to go to Japan. I went to Japan first in '92 before I started university for about a month, and then I went back to Japan in '97, and I stayed for 5 years, and with the secret plan to do the instructor's course. And there'd been lots of political changes and everything, and Kato Sensei at the time was representing Asai Sensei, the JK Asai Sensei fraction. And so I went to the Asai Sensei dojo, the JK dojo in Tokyo, and then in 2000 they gave up fighting the court case, and they became JKS. And in 2000 I entered the JKS instructors course. So me and a guy called Inada Yasuhisa were the first 2 people to do the JKS instructors course, which was basically just a continuation of the JK instructors course. And in 2002, I graduated. And then in 2002, I moved to Ireland. So actually, next week will be the 21st anniversary of teaching in Ireland.
Oh,
So I've been here 21 years, and so in the last 21 years, I've been teaching professionally here, and of course, again, more political upheaval. In 2014, I was forced to leave the JKS. I wrote I wrote a memoir of my time in Japan, and they didn't like it, and lots of little political problems, and so I was supposed to leave, and I joined the WTKO with Richard Amos Sensei,
yeah.
who was my senpai from in Japan. So I've known Richard since I was 17 years old. He's 10 years older than me, so he was been 27. I was 17. He came to York with Kagawa Sensei and the Teikyo University for a week-long seminar, Gashku, and I met him there for the first time when I was 17. So I'd known him a long time, and so I joined the WTKO, his group, when I left the JKS, and that went really well. But again, political problems, personality clashes, and he expelled me in 2017. And so in 2017, after lots of heartache and ups and downs, I decided, okay, I will create my own group. And so I did. I created the HDKI.
Awesome.
And so in the last 6 years, it's like 6.5 years old now. We have 30 countries around the world.
Wow.
Uh, and yeah, we're doing okay. We're slowly, sustainably growing. And I still have my own full-time dojo in Dublin.
Awesome.
And that has like a big group of people. We have 700 members in the dojo, and we have 5 full-time instructors and 2 part-time instructors. So yeah, that's a big thing as well. So yeah, that's my brief history of karate.
It's it was a very what we call a resume, your profile, but summarized. It's
Yeah, yeah,
it's huge. I mean, the first thing that I would like to ask you is that you mentioned when you were talking about the jiu-jitsu, one thing that I noticed is that you said that the environment feels right, and that you mentioned something that the smell, the vibe, uh,
yeah.
so do you think that your personality of hands-on, or of having that thing of willingness to grind, to really pursue something that is not easy, because first of all, we need to say this: not too many Westerners had graduated from the instructor course.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, I think, of course, I have a unique set of circumstances, and I first and foremost is luck. I was really lucky. I was lucky that I was introduced into martial arts when I was 5 years old.
Yeah.
I was really lucky that I started when I settled on karate. I started with a really good dojo, with an instructor who was very, very caring, although I didn't think so at the time. But he was very good at nurturing me and saw that I had potential. I was very lucky that I had parents that allowed me to pursue karate I mean, I've never had another job. I've never had a job. I've only ever done karate in my life,
Wow.
and they supported that. I was very lucky that I naturally have flexible ankles and flexible hips. So I have a lot of natural luck, and a unique circumstances that allowed me to be in positions at the right time, at the right place, that facilitated me to get to the instructor's course. And then, of course, the instructor's course, I was very lucky to have the right amount of stubbornness to not give in. So yeah, I think I've been very lucky and very blessed in my career and my life to enable me to pursue my passion.
Wow, wow, that's an amazing thing,
Yeah.
and Sensei, I need to ask you, are you a tall person?
No,
No.
no, I'm 5'8". That's 1 meter 73, 72. Yeah, I'm not big.
Okay. Okay.
I'm yeah,
Usually people that are tall, they don't have flexible ankles.
yeah, no.
because
Yeah. So
pressure is
I'm
too high, you know.
yeah, absolutely. Yeah. I'm like the Japanese size, so I fit it in quite well.
So, Sensei, one of the things that I would like to ask you is, you have so many different outlets, you know. It, it, you are an author of how many books you have published already?
Four.
Four. So
Yeah.
also is not an author. I remember your first book, Karate Stupid.
Yeah.
I read it in 24 hours.
Okay.
And
Thank you.
I recall that history that you make about having a haircut.
Yeah.
I thought myself, oh, that would be so nice.
Yeah. I'm sorry that you cannot share that experience by going to Japan.
Yeah, yeah. So but at the same time, you put the person that is reading it to get engaged, to feel like they were there, you know. But it's a very easy read, you know, very nice to read,
Yeah.
very uplifting, you know. But at the same time, it's like it's not my story, but I feel really motivated, you know.
Okay. Well, that's really nice to hear. I mean, I think, obviously the writing of that book, I wrote the book really as a cathartic release. So, I think there was a lot of trauma in Japan.
Yeah,
The instructor's course produces trauma. And you can argue whether that's a good or bad thing, but like, I think it's easy to be traumatized by that kind of experience. And so writing the book for me was a way of releasing that. But also I wanted it to show the love that I have for Japan, because I love Japan. And I always will, and I always feel at home when I'm in Japan. But I think like the JKS, well, first of all, they don't speak English, so they didn't really read the book, but they had someone translate certain parts of it, and they cherry picked certain things, and decided that it was a very bad. I wrote very bad things about them, which of course I didn't think I did. I thought it. So I'm glad that you found it uplifting, because I wanted to see. I wanted people to experience what I felt, the lows, but also the highs, and ultimately the beneficial effects that I had when I was in Japan, and how it helped me create the life that I wanted to create.
of course. One of the things that I get from the book is that it's not to think and read a karate book. It's to think
Yeah,
as a karateka and read a karate book. Karate
yeah,
is karate need to have an element of harshness. It's a friendly harshness, but we're not here to play ballet.
yeah, yeah. I think it's a bit like trying to learn how to swim from a book. You'd like nobody would go, oh, I'm going to read this book and learn how to swim. This is not the Matrix where we can download information. This is a physical intelligence that we're trying to create. Now, for sure, it's quite good. I think if you want to learn karate, it's quite good to watch and to read and to take information. But ultimately, you will never get good at karate by thinking about it, because it's physical. It starts with physicality. It starts with physical intelligence. And if you have a soccer player who gets the ball at the 50-yard line and kicks it, and it flies through the air, and it just goes into the goal as the goalie kind of tries to tip of his fingers, and you say, "Oh, that was brilliant. How did you do that? Can you teach me?" No, it's just physical intelligence. It's a physical genius, like that you have in soccer players. Karate can be the same. Now, of course, you can coach a person, you can teach them, you can show them, you can be a sensei. But yeah, I think a lot in the West, we have lost, sometimes a little bit lost sight of what actually karate is, and we get this, paralysis through analysis. We're
Yeah,
paralyzed by thinking about it too much,
now
rather than just do it, try.
is
Yeah.
karate. Do you think karate is basically the process?
Yeah, like I think, yeah, absolutely. I think karate is a vehicle to get to somewhere. Karate is not a thing. You can't, it's not tangible. Like a lot of people make these shapes, and the shapes are just the ghost of what you've just done. Karate is a doing. It's an ing. You are kicking, punching, blocking, standing, moving. It's a doing thing. Whereas a lot of people think karate is a block, a stance, a punch. It's not a noun, it's a verb. And a verb is about movement, and a noun is a thing that's set. And then as soon as it's a noun, then people start to go, oh, my noun is better than your noun. My punch like this is better than your punch like this. No, like when this is the movement. This is nothing. This is dead, finished.
The other thing that brought my memories back to this interview and conversation, that is really a pleasure, is that next one of the titles that you choose in one of your other books is Shuhari, right?
Yeah,
So
yeah,
that brought the idea to me that karate is not a close idea, right? Karate is an experience that comes from maturity. You are maturing your movement, you are maturing yourself as energy, as individual, the way that you move and you transition to
yeah,
your lifetime, right? So
yeah, for
uh,
sure.
cannot be stiff and close and say it's one karate. No,
Yeah,
karate is openness.
yeah. Absolutely. So for me, I think people who say you must do it like this, this is the way to do it, then it becomes dogmatic. It becomes like a religion, like a cult. And really what they're saying, this is any instructor who says you must do it like this, that's an exercise in their ego. What they're saying is they're saying that you must do it like me. And everybody has a unique body, a unique level of fitness, flexibility, strength, size. Everyone's unique. So everybody's karate ultimately should be unique. Now,
Yes,
of course, you have to go through a process. You have to go through a training regime and try to fit the shapes and fit the regime, fit the movement. But eventually, with the idea that this will lead to freedom. But the problem is that people get too fixed on the regime. They get fixed on the shape, like the JK shape or the SKIF shape or the JK shape. They get fixed on this, and they don't go beyond. But like I think that we should never lose track of like Nakayama Sensei produced instructors like Nishiyama Sensei, Anoida Sensei, Asai Sensei, Kase Sensei, Kanazawa Sensei, etc., etc. All of them completely unique, completely unique. It's so wildly different. Think about Kase Sensei and Asai Sensei, both kind of contemporaries, really, but different body types
yes.
and massively different karate. They learned from the same person and produced two different types of karate. And so I think you have to have that in mind, that you are looking for freedom. But then the flip side of that, the problem with that is that people seek freedom too early, and they don't go through the process.
Yes.
They go, oh, like I don't need to do that. I'm just going to be the master of my own style, and that's equally as wrong as well. So it's always about trying to find that balance. So yeah,
I would like to ask you right now is perfect. The timing is perfect. Um, do you think that we should instead of thinking, oh, I should be, it's like having that mentality of getting to a point, and that's very wrong, because when you are getting to a point you have expectatives, right?
yeah.
But instead of that is that you get to that point. When you get to that point, now you have a need. So your need translates in making adjustments that are required.
Mm. So say that again. What do you mean? So like
Well,
what's your question?
yeah, one is that you, in the process we have expectatives. We said, oh, I'm Sandan, and in a
Mm.
Sandan I know this because I am a Sandan, right?
Yeah.
But in reality, the process requires, instead of thinking, I need to get to do this, no. Now you need to listen to your needs, your
Uh,
physical needs that are changing in an aging body, right?
yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Now I need to listen to my needs. Or maybe my shoulder, my rotator cuff, is in a bad shape, and the way that they teach me was to lower my shoulder, right?
Yeah.
Bring it toward my Seichusen line, my centralized line.
Yeah. Yeah.
Now, since I have a problem, I need to raise my punch a little bit so I don't have a pressure in an area that I have a spacing problem.
Yeah. Yeah. Absolutely. I think you know you're it's a constant evolution, and so if like people talk about traditional martial arts, but and I'm sorry because your group is karateka traditional, right?
Yes.
But which is fine. But like people that need to understand, there's no such thing as a traditional art.
Mhm.
There can't be a traditional martial art. There can be martial arts, or there can be traditional martial study. So, for example, sometimes the Chinese martial arts would be traditional martial study because they have an archetype 1,000 years ago. There was this great master 1,000 years ago, and everyone's trying to copy, to emulate that master. And so that's a martial study. And there's a purity to that as well. But karate is not this. Karate is a martial art, it's a do. And so with any art, there's an evolution. So if we look at, for example, music, the music of now is different from the music of 10 years ago, 20, 50, 100 years. But you can draw a line of the evolution of that music or poetry or painting or architecture or anything. You can draw a line of the evolution, and karate is the same. And so, not only in the general evolution of karate, going from Okinawa to mainland Japan to worldwide, but also in your personal evolution. What's your karate now? What was it 10 years ago? What was it when you were a teenager? You have to evolve. And part of that evolution is firstly your physicality. Secondly, your needs. What do you want from karate? What's your aims? What's your goals? What environment are you in? What's your longevity within this? So there's a whole host of things that produces this rather than it being set. And I have to say I'm really sorry, but I sometimes see people who are in the 50s and 60s who are doing karate, trying to do karate like they did when they were in their 20s, and you're like, how can you do this? And then of course they're always injured. Of course they're always new hip, new knee, blah blah blah. But yeah, it's a little bit worrying because they are calling it a martial art. They are saying karate do, but they forget the last bit, which is do or art, which is always changing.
Marvelous, marvelous. Thank you for that response. We
My
really
pleasure.
enjoy each aspect. Uh, Sensei, so I got to ask you how you have that mind to produce so many different uh, outlets. You are an author. I remember when you make the Hombu Dojo, that you make different memberships so you can teach online.
Yeah,
That was
yeah,
prior to COVID. So
yeah,
actually, I don't know, but I think you are the first person that I have seen doing that, and I was like, oh, this is so innovative. Uh,
yeah.
how that mind of yours, it's like boom, 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 boom.
I think I get bored very quickly. So the only thing that I truly have managed to focus on all my life is karate,
Wow.
and everything else bores me fairly quickly. So I'm constantly looking for different ideas. Like so actually before we started speaking today, I was researching the Meta Oculus 3, which is the VR headset. And so now they are producing photograph quality avatars for your body. And by the end of the decade, you will be able to have meeting rooms where you have a pair of glasses on and you don't know which person is real, which person is virtual.
Okay.
And so I will give you an exclusive. This is what I want. I will predict by the end of this decade, by 2030, I hope to be teaching karate virtually, where there will be people from, doesn't matter where they are, anywhere in the world, with the VR headset on. They'll have a camera facing them, or a couple of cameras, which will map their movement, and I will teach them karate in real time and correct them and help them. And if they've got someone else in the room with them, they can maybe do partner work, but we can definitely do Kihon, we can definitely do kata, and I can teach them real time. So I will have online seminars, but they won't be online, they'll be in the metaverse. And so this is already possible just with your head and shoulders. But in the next couple of years, it's going to be possible for your entire body and to map complete movements, really, really high definition movement. And so they will be able to see me demonstrate. I'll be able to see them, and I'll be able to correct them in real time. So like I'm always looking for interesting, exciting things, and part of that I think is my evolution of the art. And so yeah, to answer your question, um, I get bored very quickly. And I have this need to kind of deliver my art. I mean, I don't want to get too kind of highfalutin about it, but I have a need to deliver my martial art. And so, for example, COVID was the perfect example where I went from teaching 45 weekends a year, traveling 45 weekends a year, to bomb, you are going to be at home
Wow.
and do nothing. And so uh, in Ireland, the lockdown was Friday the 13th, 2020, and that weekend I had a holiday. I had no travel, and so I was relaxing at home weekend, thinking, "Oh, how long will this last? Maybe 2 weeks." Um, and then the following weekend, I was supposed to teach in Spain, and so over the weekend, I spoke to the guys in Spain. I said, "Hey, look, there's this thing I've heard of. I've never heard of it before. It's called Zoom. I think it's possible that we could have the seminar over Zoom. Do you want to do it?
Wow.
And of course, I'll teach for free, and you guys can train. Do you want to do that?" And they said, "Yeah, let's do it." And so we did it. And then I thought, well, everyone's in lockdown, so why not open it up to everybody? I'm teaching for free, so anybody can join. And so I got a professional account on Zoom, so I could have up to 500 people, and so I did that every single weekend for the entire lockdown, and we were getting up to 300, 350 people on Zoom,
That's
and
amazing
and
thing.
every weekend I did it, and it was just a way because I was so bored, I was so frustrated that I have these ideas that I want to teach,
Yeah.
and for me, for example, COVID was horrible, of course, but it was also the one of the most creative times of my life. Constantly trying to create things that I can teach in a like a 1 meter square area. So yeah, that's how I work.
I'm sorry to interrupt your flow, but when you were talking, well, it's so many things. First, your idea is, I just opened my chin down. I was like, what? Wow, that's an incredible idea. And I congratulate you. That's an amazing thing. Number one. Number two, uh, I can see the compulsion. I don't know if it's the correct word.
Yeah,
Compulsion is like you have that creative mind that compulsion doesn't allow you to stop. You need to move and produce, right?
yeah, absolutely. Yeah,
Amazing.
yeah,
Amazing.
yeah. If I like, of course, sometimes I need downtime, so I'm either really busy, really kind of doing things, or I'm doing nothing. Like I'm either 100 miles an hour, or then I'm dead. So like I'm really like again, I'm really lucky. So I've managed to in my dojo we have 60 classes a week.
60.
So 60, yeah, 60 classes a week.
Lord.
But I only teach two. I teach a black belt class on a Monday night and a black belt class on a Thursday night, just 1 hour. So I only just teach 2 hours a week. So what that means, of course, I train in the mornings. We have instructors training in the mornings, but like just teaching time, I just two classes a week. So that means I have lots of time during the week to recover and to think and to have ideas and to write or to exit whatever I want to do. So I'm really lucky that I have that position. Yeah, I've worked hard to get there, but I'm quite lucky that I can now manage to do that, which gives me this opportunity to be creative, I guess.
So another thing that I think is extremely amazing is that in the past we have great teachers, great karate masters, all generation, but there is not too much of them. There is not too much about the specifics of their karate, because for me, the idea of Nakayama Sensei and the group that he creates, Nishiyama, Kase, Okazaki, Sigura, all that generation, all that first generation basically.
Yeah.
Um, once they are gone, they are gone. Their karate is gone. There is nothing that we can say, okay, this is the way that they do this because, and we explain the
Yeah.
because. So
Yeah.
we can really have a way that says this person do this because he have short hips and they are really stiff. Or for example, to my understanding, I never trained with a Sai Sensei, but
Uh-huh.
from the posture, I can say that he had, um, like his back, his tailbone
Yeah.
always was out. I think
Yeah. Yeah.
Lord,
Yeah. That's
maybe lordosis.
Yeah, yeah, maybe, yeah, yeah, definitely. Yeah, his bum was always sticking out, always. Yeah,
That's
yeah,
right. So if
yeah,
you compare him to Nishiyama Sensei, was the opposite. He had
yeah,
his spinal curvature and his
yeah,
tail was always in when he produced
yeah,
force.
yeah,
Okay, so um, doing what you are doing, you are leaving something that when we are no longer here, people are going to see and are going to have an experience to build up, in a sense, of course.
yeah, yeah. But I hope, yeah. I mean, why I hope though is that I like the HDKI. My group is growing, and like I say, we have 30 countries around the world, and it's really nice, and we have lots of community. And sometimes people will say, "Oh well, like what's the HDKI way? How do we do this in the HDKI? What's your way? How? Tell me, just tell me how to do it." And so we, we actively guard against this. There is no standardization. There's no standardization of kata. There's no standardization of how to do a technique. There are only good ideas and there's bad ideas.
Of
And
course.
even the ideas, some are good for some people, and the same idea could be bad for someone else, depending. And so I think for me, if there was one kind of message that I think we should all understand is that you find your own way with with a collection of peer reviewed research. So what I mean by that is that like if you did a PhD, you were trying to develop your own unique individual, say a PhD in physics. You're doing your own unique research, but then you would have professors within physics who are going to read your research, give you ideas, give you criticisms, ask you questions, prod at you. Really, really, does that work? Show me. Really prove that. And what you're doing is through this kind of crucible of criticism and challenging, you find your way. And so I think that's what karate should be. And I think whether they did it openly or consciously or subconsciously, the people like Asai Sensei and Nishiyama Sensei and Okazaki Sensei, all them, that's what they did.
Yes,
They were pushed and challenged and prod until they developed their own karate. This is my karate, and then they went and taught it to the world. And
that's
that's why I think we should honor these masters.
that's beautiful. So for you, karate is like a kind of a puzzle. we have it's like in the beginning when you learn the syllabus, right? When you learn
Yeah,
writing, for example, you learn the
yeah,
ABCs, but later on the ABCs translate into your own process of writing, and then later on becomes your own style of writing, but you are still writing, right?
yeah,
it's not
yeah,
it's not that you make new letters, it's that you're
yeah,
using the letters to make something beautiful.
yeah. Yeah, well, I take that a step further. I think I think karate is just a axiomatic truth. It's a kind of a noble lie. It's like this kind of idea that we use to explore our lives. We are gonna say we're gonna pretend that this stuff that we do in karate works, and we're going to use that as a vehicle to discover who we are and who our friends are and who what life is. I mean, so I think that's truly what it is
Mhm.
for me. For me, of course, it's also kicking and punching. Of course, it's that too. But these shapes that we make and these kind of like these kind of forms that we use, these are only exercises. They are they're like that. That's like I mean I don't want to go off on a tangent, but like Shotokan is often criticized by the MMA Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu guys saying, "Oh, that's not functional. That would never work," and they miss the point that we know that these things don't work. These are artificially difficult things to make work. And if we can make them work in this artificially difficult environment, then when we take the form away and we're just free and we start to move naturally, then our naturalness will be so more refined. It's
Yes.
a bit like a sprinter who practices with a parachute on their back. They run with a parachute, and people go, "That's crazy. Why would you run with a parachute on your back? You can't run fast with a parachute on your back." Yeah, exactly. But if I do try with the parachute on my back, when I take it off, I'm going to be faster. And that's what karate is. It's this artificial thing that gives us eventually greater functionality.
Yes, yes. Uh, one of the things that I have observed through the years around is that many of the karate explanations are not based on natural way of moving. For example, we analyze human patterns, and
Yeah.
we can see that one of the human patterns that is more sustainable and it adapts, but with a very small adaptations, is local motion, the walking pattern.
Mm.
So the way that we walk, we should do karate is the same. We need to put our bodies toward the center. We need to place a good footing, so we have a good support of the external surface. Uh, why do you think is that trouble of separating karate from
Yeah.
natural human patterns that are sustainable and can add something valuable to our life cycles?
Yeah. I think um, I think people mistake training training mechanisms for for principles of movement. So like for example, Zenkutsudachi is a exaggerated standing position. And so people think so. We all know that we make a long, deep stance to make our legs strong and our hips flexible. Everybody knows this. But then people sometimes think, no, Zen itself is how to create power,
Mhm.
and so they they go against the most obvious thing that if you want to move fast, standing in a long stance is not the great thing to do. And I think this is the same with everything. They think, in order to create power, a straight punch is to create power. That's the best way to punch in a straight line. When they'll go and watch a boxing match and see Mike Tyson or whoever knock someone out with a, but no, this is the strongest punch. Well, if that was the case, boxers would be doing it. So they often mistake the training mechanism which teaches us connection and teaches us how to connect our body mass to our hand. They think this training mechanism is karate. But it's not. It's just a way to connect our body, and then we start to move natural. So I think the training that we do often takes us away too much from naturalness, or that when the instructor teaches, they don't balance the teaching with this is what we're doing, and we're doing it for these reasons. But don't forget, it's so that you can move naturally in a better way. But never ever misunderstand how to move naturally.
Um, from what I get, I can compare them to make a um, positions versus postures.
Yeah, yeah,
Position
yeah,
is just a look, it's an empty shell.
yeah,
Posture are a living connective tissue movement, is always
yeah,
living. So your center is alive in and alive out. So you can very shorten your time
yeah,
of reaction, your reaction
yeah,
time.
yeah.
I,
Absolutely.
I was watching because I said I really need to get ready to this interview. So I watched some of your interviews, some of your videos. I took my time to do it. So one of the things that I like is I place a video of it's on one of your interviews, um, a video of you doing Teki Sandan, Iron Horse number 3, right? So
Yeah,
one of the things that I watched when your karate was when you were playing karate is that you never disconnect your center. Even if you are doing an extrinsical motion, you are always engaging your intrinsical.
yeah,
So when you do this, you are ready for the next motion. So
yeah,
and it wasn't even by acceleration. It was by optimum movement, optimum force, optimum acceleration, not
yeah,
maximum, you know, and that's the difference between sport, right, and martial art.
yeah, yeah. Yeah, of course. I think like sports karate, competition karate is a very good thing. I think it's very good for young people to have that focus and that challenge. And like once you get to black belt, if you're, say if you're 15, 16 years old, you've got to black belt. Maybe you don't have those short-term goals anymore. So competition is great. So I'd never disrespect the importance of competition. I think it's a very valuable tool within the karate world. But to be connected uh, is the opposite of what competition wants. You don't want to be connected because if you connect and you hit someone, you'll get disqualified. It's the opposite of what you want. And so the problem is though is that champions often become instructors and really famous instructors. We can all think of world champions who are now teaching worldwide, and they've come through a way of karate that they had to be disconnected. Whereas karate, for me, on every possible level, is about connection.
Beautiful.
You connect your weapon to your body mass. You connect your body mass to your stance. You connect from yourself to your opponent. You connect yourself to your mind. You connect yourself to your emotions. You connect yourself to the environment, to the community. You connect to the collective unconscious. Everything is about connection. And competition karate is the opposite of that. So yeah, I'm very careful about maintaining connection.
Beautiful, beautiful. Um, one of the things that I would like to you to talk to us about, if you're so kind, please, is about well-being karate. Many people doesn't remember that we're in a human body that is aging, so the adaptation needs to be done. Can you
Yeah, yeah,
please?
yeah, for sure. I mean, I think I've had like I'm 50 years old and I feel like I've had three lifetimes already. I had my time before Japan, I had my time in Japan, I had my time after Japan, but they've all shared the same body. That's the thing. Three lifetimes, one body. That's really difficult. So I have to be really, really careful. And of course, my job is based on me being able to perform, basically. And also my passion is about karate, developing my karate. So I have to be really careful. And so in Japan, they have something called Shogai karate. Well, they have a term called Shogai karate from birth, from the beginning until death, never ending.
Beautiful.
And I think we should all try to emulate this because we have karate do, of course, but we also have sports karate. We also have Shogai karate. We have Genki karate, like energy giving karate. I think we should all kind of see karate as a vehicle for moving forward from the point where we are in our life. And so of course, I mean, this is all kind of generic kind of talking, but like very specifically, I think people need to get rid of this hardness in karate, this sense of kime. Like I hate the word kime. I think it's the most overused and misunderstood ideas within karate, and people try to make kime all the time, and I think it's highly destructive for their joints, for their body, and I think we have to study how our body works in a natural way, and the longer we train, the more we have to do this because what we need to do is be as efficient as possible. I
Oh,
think I think you know I always joke and say my karate is really lazy karate. I'm really super lazy because I want to do karate with the minimal possible effort.
that's
You want to find your form and then strip away effort as much as possible. Strip away tension, strip away effort, strip away until there's only intention. And then you have intention, and then your technique will follow.
one of the things that happens to me in my development is that I already compete in World Cups, in Pan Am Cups, and in everything that I got my hands on, right?
Yeah,
And I went to train with them with the old masters, and I'm 22, I'm 24, I'm very young lad, and the thing is, they always get to me without me even being close, right?
yeah,
So in my mind, I said to myself, I'm not doing the same as they are doing. It's not the same outcome. So it looks like a shell outside. I got
yeah,
an E, I got an OB, I look very nice and handsome, right? But it's not the same because it's
yeah,
not the same finished product.
yeah, yeah, yeah,
So
yeah, absolutely.
I see a lot like that, and one of the things that make me recall is the concept of compensation. You know, you cannot move,
Okay.
you cannot transmit, you cannot have the lose force, lose connection if
Yeah,
you don't have good compensation. So the way that you place your foot at the floor is the way also that the alignment comes to your hips. Because if
yeah,
your foot is like that, your hip is like that, right?
yeah,
This,
yeah, yeah,
this is the root is
yeah,
inserted, right?
yeah,
Can you
yeah.
please tell us about it a little bit of your ideas on that? If
Well,
you're so
so
kind.
so for me, like I think, so most people, I think that they think about their body like a skeleton. So like a building block of one bone, the next bone, the next bone, and um, and of course this is not how the body works. If you have bone on top of bone, this is arthritis. This is really bad. So bones don't touch each other. And I think, okay, let me use the analogy of a bridge. Imagine a bridge, and you've got a bridge kind of over a river. Most people think that their body is like a bridge. You have stone, 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 and you have the keystone at the top. This is a bridge. But this is not what the body is like. The body is not like a stone bridge. The body is like a suspension bridge, like the Golden Gate Bridge.
An arch.
Well, it's like an arch, but it's also that it's in suspension. So you have steel wire, and you have girders, and it kind of can move. A suspension bridge can move, like the Golden Gate Bridge in San Francisco, right?
Beautiful.
Now, this is like the body because our bones don't touch; they are in suspension between muscle and ligaments and fascia, and our whole body is this web of fascia. And so, what you're doing with your foot is going to affect your fist. What you're doing with your hip is going to affect your leg, because it's all connected in this mass of fascia, interconnective muscle tissue called fascia. And so for me, if I'm going to move, then first of all, it's the connection of the ball of my foot to the floor and the spring of my arch and the use of my calf that is producing a shock within the fascia that is producing the technique, not me just like moving simply. So I always think my body, well, I don't, I know that my body is a web of elastic muscle, and that's
Beautiful,
how I use it.
beautiful.
Yeah.
I mean, thank you for that. That thought was marvelous. Was marvelous. Sensei. So then we get to that point in life, right? I'm 52, right?
Okay.
I was born in 73 as you as well. Uh,
Okay.
in some point in life, we're gonna have our bodies, say go bye bye, right? So what is the next step? Do you think will be possible, and we can suggest people to close their eyes and do karate here?
Yeah. Well, actually, I think there is really strong evidence to show that, like, so that in order to, okay, let me rewind a little bit. So for me, I think in order to create really good karate, you have to strip away tension. Most people, they'll tense through their technique, and tension robs speed. And what we want to do is create kind of an explosion of movement which produces our technique. So we're trying to create this twitch twitch feeling rather than tension, right? And the thing about twitching, so like literally like snapping your fingers, when you're a child, when you're like a baby, 2 years old, and you decide that you want to learn to do this, you have to think about it for a while to coordinate the short, fast twitch muscles to do this. And after a while, you get to do it, and then forever you'll be able to do it. But what's happening is that you're laying down neurological pathways to fire the muscles in the right sequence. And for me, this is karate. So we are trying to do this with our entire body. Like, what takes a little toddler, a 2 year old, like maybe a week to try to figure out with the most controllable part of our body, our hands. We're trying to do that with our entire body.
Mm.
And so for me, this is the most important part of karate is laying down these neurological pathways. How do you do them? By thinking, by trying to isolate your body. You don't have to, of course, you have to train. You have to be as strong as you can be. You have to be within our peer group. We're 50 years old. Like, I'm sure you're the same. In my people that I know who are my age, I'm the fittest and strongest. I'm sure you're the same. Of
Yeah.
course, this is important. Within your peer group, you must be the fittest and strongest person in your peer group. But also, how to control your body. And so just thinking about it is probably, in this case, for this specific thing, the most important thing to do.
Beautiful, beautiful, really beautiful. Uh, Sensei, so also I had seen that you are very structured, right? Very, very creative mind, but also very structured. One of the projects that I see that you have in your HDKI community is the instructor's course. So can you please be kind and tell us a little bit about it, how it is,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
how what was your projection? Maybe
Mm.
some mistakes that you have made, some improvements.
Yeah. So, well, okay. So first thing, it's not an instructor's course. We don't have an instructor's course. We have an internship program. So, like someone can come to the dojo and be an intern for a month, and so anybody can come. Anybody who's Shodan and above, who's HDKI, can come, and they receive $400, €400, about $450 for the month. and this helps them with the food. They stay in the dojo for free, and the training is free, and then they train and assist teaching 5 days a week, 5 or 6 days a week, depending on, and they stay for a month. And at the end, they become an instructors. They get an internship certificate. What I was very careful to do is not call it an instructor's course, because an instructor's course is something very different. And also, there's different groups around out who do a month-long instructors program, and then afterwards, the person who does it, they think that they've achieved something. Oh, I'm an instructor now. You're not. I did the month. You didn't. I'm better than you. No, that's not the case. A month is just a month. And so we were very careful not to give anybody any official recognition. But what we're very careful to do is in that month to give them everything that we can in terms of, so when they come, we have a meeting and say, okay, why are you here? What do you want to achieve? Some people want to just physically develop. So it's really tough training and lots of training ideas. And some people want to learn how to teach children, teach adults. Some people want to understand how to run a professional dojo. So, and many different things. So basically, within that month, we try to give them everything that they can, that everything that they need, in order after the month that they can go forward and continue that development. So that's what we do. And that's open. And we have in the last six and a half years, we've had, I think, 23 or 24 people around the world. And it's great because like even from like Sri Lanka, we've had a couple of people who maybe not necessarily be able to afford to live in Ireland for a month because it's quite an expensive country. All they need is the transport to Ireland. If they get to Dublin Airport, I go to collect them. That we take care of them for a month. They don't have to think about or worry about money or anything like that. So that's what we do. But then at the same time, my idea with a professional elite within the HDKI are the Hombu Dojo instructors. So we have 5 full-time instructors, and we're constantly like, for example, one of our instructors, a guy called Rue Mew, he's currently traveling in North America at the moment. He worked for me for 5 years and got to a very good level. And now he's traveling the world and he's going to eventually settle and create his own dojo in the west of Ireland. Ross Stewart, who's been with me for 10 years now, he's teaching all over the world. And we've taken on younger instructors and they're developing. So my idea is that, like, by being professional in the dojo, the training every day with me, the teaching every day, and they're dedicating their life to karate, and they're being paid a good salary. So by that way, we're trying to produce an elite karate instructors group that eventually will take the organization further.
Marvelous.
That's my yeah.
There is a future.
I hope so, yeah, because I am very concerned about the the sustainability of the HDKI. I don't want many organizations, they'll create an organization and it'll peak maybe when the instructor is in their 50s, maybe 60s, and then it'll slowly go in decline. So when I'm 55, in 5 years' time, I will take a step back from the HDKI. So at the moment, I'm the chief technical director. So at 55, I will take a step back and somebody else will take my role. And I will become an advisor, but I will have no executive power at all. I'll still teach, maybe a little bit less than what I'm doing, but I'll still teach. But because I want to make sure that the HDKI continues to develop and continues to move forward. And I think if you have the same person at the front forever, and that person is slowly getting older and older and older, they get less physically capable, less energetic, less new ideas, less innovative. And I think that's when organizations start to go down. So before I get there, when I'm 55, I'm going, okay, that's it. I'm taking a step back and someone else will go forward.
Sensei, I think that's very unique. I congratulate you for that. It's incredible, really it is. Um, Also, I wanna ask you something. We have and I this is I don't try to talk about nobody business. Everybody needs to be their own business, but in a sense also the age people had that if they had trained really well and they don't have physical problems, they got the information that is really important for the next generation that is going to become that in some point, right?
Yeah, yeah, for sure.
It's like it's an interaction between those two, right?
Yeah,
Correct.
absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. So I constantly train with. So at the beginning of the year, I was with Steve Ubel Sensei in San Diego. He's 76 years old. Amazing. I trained with Paolo Blafio Sensei, who's a little bit younger. He's 67, 68 years old, but still amazing. In the next month after, I'm training with Rick Jackson Sensei. He's 72, like amazing karate guy. Like this time last year, last November, I trained with Roy Anderson Sensei, who's 88 years old and still kind of strong and connected, and I did a class with him and he was amazing, and I left realizing that I can't do Girambarai properly. He was like, he's like, no, Scott, no. And what he said, I'd never thought about. It was amazing. And I was delighted that, training karate or martial arts for 45 years, and I can't do Girambarai correctly. I was like so happy. But yeah, these connections that we've got to have, and these people in my life, I'm really lucky. They give it freely and they give it happily, and I very happily take it.
That's
But
that,
I always give praise and mention them because they are brilliant,
that's
brilliant people.
that's marvelous. That's marvelous, and I'm really glad that you named them here. My respects to all of them. You know,
Yeah,
and admiration too. Uh, so, like I told you before in a previous commentary, the process of maturing requires need, right? And the
mm,
need is gonna come toward the experience, right?
mm.
So, do you think that when we are young, we can move from more on an outside line? While we're aging, we start moving more toward a centralized line because
Yeah,
it's more stable, it's less space, is also less effort. Correct?
yeah, absolutely. Yeah, yeah, yeah. I think we have to be very careful though as instructors because when you start to move much more internally, then it's much more of a feeling. And the problem is that if you teach with a feeling, then it becomes metaphor. It becomes, like how many instructors have said, "Oh, you must feel grounded to the floor." Well, what does that mean? I,
Ah,
I can't I can't increase my mass. I can't connect the floor. I can't so I had to be I always check myself because I feel the way I feel when I move. I very rarely teach it because because then that becomes truth. Oh, Scott Sensei said you have to feel that, and whatever I say, then that ultimately becomes what everyone is trying to feel. But it's my feeling. It's nobody else's feeling. So I always try to teach in a biomechanical way. This is how your body works. This is what you need to try to do with your body. How you feel is uniquely you. How that makes you feel is uniquely you. But yeah, for sure, as we get older, as we get more experience, it's all about that internal movement, that internal kind of whatever it be. I don't want to say whatever it be to that individual unique person. Yeah.
beautiful, beautiful. Out of 10 instructors had tell me, relax, right? So
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
how to
Yeah.
is the problem.
Yeah. Yeah. So I very rarely say relax. I try not to say relax because it's meaningless, right? Like it doesn't mean anything. So I say, look, you got to keep your core engaged. You got to find your form, and then how can you create that movement? How can you create that form with the least possible effort? Strip away effort. Can you do it So like a lot of things like a lot of my work, like self-training now is how can I punch without using my arm? How can I initiate a movement that will ultimately send my hand out rather than just pushing my hand out? And so yeah, I try to that's where like my training is at the well, it's yeah, like one of the things I think about often is about how I can create the movements I can without actually using my limbs and making my body move my limbs. Yeah,
One of the things that I love to say now in this stage of my study, it's karate technique should be a need. Let's say we are gonna Yakosuki or Chokosuki or whatever, might
yeah,
get it. You know,
yeah,
uh, the body needs to feel that there is not way that he cannot do it. He
yeah,
cannot avoid it. You know.
yeah. Absolutely, yeah, yeah. The for me, like you have your intention and you move from your core and there's the natural conclusion of that intention and movement from your core is the technique, like, and so yeah, like a lot of people they think about the last 5% of the technique, oh, this is where it must be strong, whereas I think the longer you train, the more you train, it's all about that initial go. And you're thinking about the first 1% of the technique, and then after the first 1% of the technique, the 99% of the technique is the result of that first 1%. Yeah.
Beautiful, beautiful. It had so you are talking and my brain is going.
It's nice to hear.
Sensei, well, I would like to tell you that thank you very much for your time, your insight, and also your disposition. I know you are possibly always busy doing your things, and it was a marvelous time for us. Thank you very
But
much.
it's been my absolute pleasure, and thank you for asking me some very interesting and very nice questions that I could talk about. It's been very, very, very pleasant. Thank you.
Thank you, and also we're. I need to let you go, but I need to let you know this. We are looking forward to see all the great things that you will deliver in the future. We are looking forward, and we
Well,
wish you. We wish you if ever you come to Puerto Rico or toward Puerto Rico, let us know. We would love to sit down and chat and have a
well,
meal.
I hear that it is a very, very beautiful place that you live in. So I hope one day that I can visit.
It is. It is. So God bless you, Sensei. Thank you very much for your time, and I
My
will call
pleasure.
you. I will end the transmission. Okay,
Okay.
but
Thank you.
don't go so I can talk to you.
Okay.
Okay. Oh, Sensei, thank you very much.
Awesome.
Dental
Awesome.
Karate Practitioner, thank you very much for tuning in. I hope this interview helped you. This was Karate Perspectives with Sensei Scott Langley, 7 Dan HDKI, and we thank you for that, Sensei. Also.
Awesome.